Hello and welcome to The Public Good. This is Colleen Christich from Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, which unites over 340 community organizations working to build a better Buffalo. We're delighted to join you every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. on Power 96.5 FM and Mix 1080 a.m. You can also watch full video of every show on our YouTube page. Follow PPG Buffalo on Facebook and Instagram for more information on how to access video and the full podcast of our show. And of course, you can always get great information on our website, ppgbuffalo.org. Before I introduce our guest, I want to highlight a new way you as a listener can interact with us here on The Public Good. We want to hear your thoughts on how we can better our community. Email us at info@ppgbuffalo.org to let us know your ideas for change. We'd love to hear of community organizations you appreciate or initiatives you believe deserve more spotlight. We also encourage commentary, questions, or feedback on our current episode. Reach out at info@ppgbuffalo.org. Be sure to let us know where you're listening from and who you are. Back to the show. This week we are joined by Amber Powers from our city, Buffalo. They are here today to inform the community about the annual Anti-Displacement Summit conference this Saturday, December 9th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is a chance for anyone who lives in Buffalo to come educate or be educated on issues that are affecting a lot of us who live in the city, and a chance to hear about people who are trying to make it better for all. First, Amber, would you please introduce yourself and explain what our city, Buffalo, is for the listeners?
Hi, first of all, thank you, Colleen and PPG, for having me. Just to introduce myself, my name is Amber Powers. I am on the leadership team for Our City Action Buffalo, which is the sister organization of Our City Buffalo. And not to get too into the weeds, but Our City Buffalo is basically a coalition of nonprofit and community organizations in the city who join together to face to figure out what could improve about the city of Buffalo and how we can work together to make it a better place. Our City Action Buffalo is sort of the political arm. It's a separate organization, but we take more of a direct action political stance. But today I'm here representing our city Buffalo, and one of the pretty much the largest project of our city Buffalo is the Anti-Displacement Summit, which is coming up this Saturday. It is the 5th annual. Last year, unfortunately, we had to move the summit to be all virtual due to a snowstorm. But we are so excited to be able to meet in person again this year. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for being here, and great to hear about it. So tell us more, what's the Anti-Displacement Summit, and what is the origin of our city, Buffalo, holding this space for the community?
Yeah, so Our City Buffalo is a grassroots coalition of various nonprofits who represent different interests throughout the city. And those players come together to put on the Anti-Displacement Summit, which is an educational summit that we put on for the community free of charge. One of the things that we believe is education is one of, if not the most powerful tools against oppression. And in order to learn how we come together and how we make positive change in our community, we need to be educated on the tools that are needed to do so. And so the Anti-Displacement Summit is essentially a all-day event, or all morning and afternoon event, where different organizations that are a part of our city Buffalo come together to put on various workshops in two separate sessions. And I can go into detail about the timeline and agenda for Saturday. But the public is invited to attend those sessions for free. And we list those out on our website, and I'll list them out for you in a moment here as well. But if any of those sessions sound interesting to you, or something that you would like to learn more about, you're welcome to attend them and just learn how our organizations are creating positive change in Buffalo and how you can be a part of that.
Excellent. Yeah. So what are some things people can expect to learn at the summit?
Well, I have the different workshops listed out here. Why don't I just go give you the details about the event up top, and I'll repeat this all at the end. It's going to be this Saturday, December 9th at 371 Delaware Ave. That is Trinity Episcopal Church. It's on Delaware and Tupper. I'm sure a lot of listeners are familiar with the area. It starts at 10 a.m. and goes until 3 p.m. The way it's going to work is 10 a.m. will be the opening address. At 10:35, everyone will break out into the different workshops, whichever workshop you choose to attend. Then at 11:30 will be a free lunch. Session 2 starts at 12:05 p.m. And then at the end of the summit, there will be a Blizzard panel discussion. And then at 2 p.m., we will be gathering outside of the church and walking down to Niagara Circle to memorialize those that were lost during the December 2022 blizzard. Because as far as we know, there's never been a memorial to memorialize all of the people who lost their lives during that blizzard, and we wanted to hold space for that. So as I said earlier, there's 2 sessions, and I'm going to read out the sessions that attendees will be able to attend. So session 1, and that's the session that starts at 10:30. The choices will be how we empower communities and get to a system of co-governance, and that will be led by Cornell ILR of the Buffalo CoLab. Increasing student success through community inclusion and family involvement. That will be led by the Parent Teacher Organization, represented by Denise Barr and Roberta Cates. The Never Ending Displacement Struggle on Haudenosaunee land, organized by the Neckanesset, and presented by John Kane of Mohawk, Paul Winnie of the Tonawanda Seneca, and Dr. Agnes Williams of Seneca. Buffalo Common Council Procedures and How to Take Action, which will be hosted by a partnership of Public Good for the public good. It's Been a Long Journey, Immigration in Buffalo 2023 by Justice for Migrant Families. And then those will be, you'll be able to attend one of those sessions in session 1. Then we will break for lunch. And then when we return, you'll have a choice of many excellent workshops in session 2, which are Buffalo Creek Reservation, Displaced and Still Here, organized by Neckanesset, presented by Dr. Alyssa Mount Pleasant, Melissa Leonard of Seneca, and Pete Hill of Cayuga. Mapping the Local Political Landscape by Our City Action Buffalo, which is my organization. Putting People and Planet First, Fighting Back Against National Fuel's Assault on Our Communities by Push Buffalo and Alliance for a Green Economy. Anti-Oppressive Facilitation and Democratic Decision Making by Cooperation Buffalo. And Oral Fluid Testing, a Tool for Change by Coalition for Economic Justice Buffalo. That oral fluid testing, by the way, because I was like, what the heck is that? I had to read the blurb about it. Basically, for the NFTA bus and train operators, there is a shortage because a lot of people, despite marijuana being legal in the state of New York, don't want to take the drug test, even though they are using it responsibly, just as a train operator could use alcohol responsibly when they're not working. So by moving to an oral fluid testing method, responsible marijuana users would be able to qualify for those jobs. But we are not at that place yet. And so, yeah, those are the types of workshops that we'll be offering. There's a lot of great ones. I don't know how people are going to be able to choose between which one to go to, but it'll be a very interesting and enlightening day.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a lot of great options there. What session of the summer are you most looking forward to, and are you leading any of these sessions?
I am not leading them this year. I got to take a little bit of a break. Last year, I did lead a session on the council redistricting process of 2022 to, and how that went, or how that didn't go, rather. But this year I'm not leading any of them. But I will say I do believe that oral fluid testing one sounds very interesting. Um, there's been a lot of discussion about immigration in Buffalo this year, and not all of it has been great.
Mm.
That by Justice for Migrant Families sounds like a wonderful one. Yeah, it's so hard to choose, to be honest. I don't want to upset anyone by saying one is going to be better than the
Picking a
other.
favorite child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that a lot of it has to do with, historical and current. Well, it's just very broad definition of displacement. When I think about displacement, I think about like gentrification and
Hmm.
eviction and things. But it sounds like several sessions led by Native American communities and yeah, about
Hmm.
immigration and all sorts of different angles on the word displacement, really. So
Hmm.
is yeah.
Yeah. We definitely, every time we hold a meeting or a public forum at our city action, we tend to start our sessions with a land acknowledgement, because that's something that we definitely have to keep in mind. It's not just something that happened in the past either. It
Hmm.
continues to happen, where our elected leaders are not necessarily honoring the treaties
Hmm.
that we made with our native allies. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to learn on Saturday, and lunch is completely free. There will be childcare provided if you have young children, and we definitely welcome anyone from the community to come, even if you can't come for the entire day. Just check out one of our sessions.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how are you hoping, some of these sessions will impact community members who may not currently participate in political or civic activism in the city?
That's a good question. It is so hard. I think that a lot of people are turned off by the word activism because it seems a little too confrontational. Um, but I think that there is a place for everyone in whatever movement, and all of the movements that we support are interconnected. But there really, I say this all the time, there really is a place or a job for everyone. No matter how big or small. So some people love to go to protests and carry signs, and some people would rather be more behind the scenes. They would rather do research. They would rather collect data, that sorts of things. And some people are good writers, and we turn to them to help us to write our communications to the community. There definitely is something that every one of us can do, even if it's just calling your council member when there's legislation that needs to be passed.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that if someone comes out to the Anti-Displacement Act on Saturday, or Act Summit on Saturday, they will kind of get a taste for what the types of work that we do, and maybe get an idea of ways that they can get involved, whether it's a more active or a more behind the scenes role, and just learn, even for their own sake. If you're attending one of the sessions led by Push Buffalo, you can learn what your rights are as a tenant, and learn about things such as what are they called, tenant unions, rather, to learn how we can fight back against some of the displacement, and some of the what's the word I'm looking for, um, gentrification that's happening in the city of Buffalo.
Yeah, great.
Hmm.
Yeah. So in addition to the summit, you mentioned there'd be a public memorial to honor those lives our community lost on the in the blizzard of last year. Can you explain the significance of holding this space as we approach a year since that blizzard?
Yeah, so we felt it was very necessary, because there hasn't been, as I said, to our knowledge, a session or a memorial or a funeral or any type of vigil to honor the victims of the 2022 blizzard. And our city leaders have largely not acknowledged those deaths because they, I think, rightly feel guilt in dropping the ball. And I think that some of the lack of leadership that occurred last year during that blizzard is partly to blame for some of those deaths, for sure. I strongly feel that way. So we wanted to hold a space that our government hasn't held for them. And we welcome anyone in the community that was affected by the blizzard, and hold a space for them to grieve and express the trauma that I think a lot of us haven't acknowledged that we experienced during that storm. And we have been trying our best to reach out to the family members of those who passed during the blizzard. And but we haven't been able to reach all of them. So if anyone listening knows someone who was affected or lost a family member in the blizzard, please reach out to us at ourcitybuffalo@gmail.com. We would love for you to participate in the memorial. Um, so if you cannot attend the entire summit on Saturday, and you just want to attend the memorial, you're more than welcome to. We'll be meeting, as I said, at 2 p.m. at Trinity Episcopal Church, which is 371 Delaware. There will be poetry by poet Jillian Hainsworth, a column of birds by Oscar Brown Jr., and performed by Curtis Lavelle and Brian Brown from Ujima Company. And then we will be marching down to Niagara Square to just hold space for the people who lost their lives during the blizzard.
Where can people sign up to attend, and how can people get more involved with our city? And then if you could run down those details again for when, where, and make sure people know where to go.
Yeah. So you don't have to sign up. If you decide to come last minute, that's completely fine. There is a Facebook event. If you search for Our City Buffalo on Facebook, all the details will be there as well. You can also visit our website if you're not on social media at ourcitybuffalo.com. If you have any questions about the event, please feel free to email us at ourcitybuffalo@gmail.com. And just to give a little bit more detail about the logistics of that day, it's at 371 Delaware Ave this Saturday from 10 to 3, this Saturday, December 9th, from 10 to 3. The opening address begins at 10 a.m., and the Blizzard panel at the end of the day begins at 1 p.m., and then at 2 p.m. will be our memorial for the victims of the 2022 blizzard.
That sounds like a jam-packed day. Is there any other projects that our city is working on right now that you would want to, plug?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, now this is my time to shine. So, as I said earlier, I'm a part of Our City Action Buffalo, which is more of our direct action and political group. And I mentioned earlier that we are going to be putting on a session called Mapping the Political Landscape at our summit on Saturday. And I just wanted to remind listeners that on January 2nd, the Buffalo Common Council is going to be electing a new council president as Darius Pridgeon steps down from his role. Now, the reason why you should care, because a lot of people listening are probably like, what the heck does the Common Council president do? What does the Common Council even do in the first place? So the Common Council is basically like the legislative body of the city. So if you're thinking of the federal government, it's basically like Congress if it was for City of Buffalo. And each district within the city elects a council member. And within that council is a president. And this person doesn't have much power over the other council members except for, holding sessions. And I'm not going to get into technicalities, but they're basically like the leader of the Common Council. Now, why this is important is because per the charter, if the mayor of Buffalo does not complete his term, either steps down or anything else happens, then the council president steps in to complete the term. Now, if you've been paying any attention to local politics lately, there's been a lot of buzz about Byron Brown possibly looking to leave his position as mayor, either as the president of Buffalo State College, which he has expressed interest and applied to be, or to fill in perhaps for one of the other local politicians that may be filling it, moving into Brian Higgins, our congressman's role, who announced that he will be soon be stepping down. So that is important because that basically says that the next mayor of Buffalo may not even be elected by the residents of Buffalo. So I encourage everyone to look into that. There are 4 councilmen who said that they would like to be president, and the rest of the council is going to vote on that. And I think some people might be interested to know what these councilmen stand for and if you're really ready for them to be the next mayor of Buffalo. So I encourage everyone listening to look into that, look into the council members who are interested in the position and find out what their platform is and what they've been championing as during their tenures.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's part of that session, focusing on just like political education about, who is the council, how does it work? And yeah, pointing out that potentially, things are going to shift relatively quickly and relatively soon, possibly, if
Mhm.
if the mayor's office is vacated.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah. Any other sort of our city things going on right now you want to share, or
We're constantly paying attention to what the Common Council is doing or trying to do behind our backs, and the sneaky vote coming up on January 2nd is pretty important. We also have 2 new council members joining the council starting a new year, which we are excited that it's the first female council member in 10 years. And not only that, 2 Black female council members, which we are very excited about, which is Leah Halton Pope and um, Ever Everhart.
Zanetta?
Zanetta Everhart. Sorry, I am not on my A game today.
Yeah.
But we are so excited, but we are going to be paying just as much attention to them as we pay attention to the rest of the council. So, yeah, definitely encourage everyone to follow us so we can synthesize what's going on for you and get it out and to easy to digest pieces of information to take in and what you need to do to make sure our elected leaders are doing right by us.
Great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
That's the time we have for today. This is Colleen Christich with Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, uniting over 340 organizations working to build a better Buffalo. And we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Anti-Displacement Summit? What ideas do you have to better our community? Contact us through email at info@ppgbuffalo.org. Send us a recording or written email with your comments and thoughts. And be sure to let us know where you're listening from and who you are. It's The Public Good, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. on Power 96.5 FM and Mix 1080 a.m.